Welcome back, friends. In the previous two videos, we had read inspirational stories. This is the third and the last one. This video contains 5 stories. Quickly, let us start with the first one. Our reaction matters more than what happens. Once upon a time, a daughter complained to her father that her life was miserable and that she did not know how she was going to make it. She was tired of fighting and struggling all the time. It seemed just as one problem was solved, another one soon followed. Her father, a chef, took her to the kitchen. He filled 3 pots with water and placed each on a high fire. Once the 3 pots began to boil, he placed potatoes in one pot, eggs in the second pot, and ground coffee beans in the third pot. He then let them sit and boil without saying a word to his daughter. The daughter impatiently waited, wondering what he was doing. After 20 minutes, he turned off the burners. He took the potatoes out of the pot and placed them in a bowl. He pulled the eggs out and placed them in a bowl. He ladled the coffee and placed it in a cup. Turning to her, he asked, "Daughter, what do you see?" "Potatoes, eggs, and coffee," she hastily replied. "Look closer," he said, and touched the potatoes. She did and noted that they were soft. He then asked her to take an egg and break it. After pulling off the shell, she observed the hard boiled egg. Finally, he asked her to sip the coffee. Its rich aroma brought a smile to her face. "Father, what does this mean?" she asked. He then explained that the potatoes, eggs, and coffee beans had each faced the same adversity, the boiling water. However, each one reacted differently. The potato went in strong, hard, and unrelenting, but in boiling water, it became soft and weak. The egg was fragile, with a thin outer shell protecting its liquid interior, until it was put in the boiling water. Then the inside of the egg became hard. However, ground coffee beans were unique. After they were exposed to the boiling water, they changed the water and created something new. "Which one are you?" he asked his daughter. "When adversity knocks on your door, how do you respond? Are you a potato, an egg, or a coffee bean?" In life, things happen around us, things happen to us, but the only thing that truly matters is what happens within us. Little boy with a huge heart. In the days when an ice cream sundae cost much less, a 10-year-old boy entered a hotel coffee shop and sat at a table. A waitress put a glass of water in front of him. "How much is an ice cream sundae?" "50 cents," replied the waitress. The little boy pulled his hand out of his pocket and studied a number of coins in it. "How much is a dish of plain ice cream?" he inquired. Some people were now waiting for a table, and the waitress was a bit impatient. 35 cents, she said briskly. The little boy again counted the coins. "I'll have the plain ice cream," he said. The waitress brought the ice cream, put the bill on the table, and walked away. The boy finished the ice cream, paid the cashier, and departed. When the waitress came back, she began wiping down the table and then swallowed hard at what she saw. There, placed neatly beside the empty dish, were 15 cents, her tip. The previous story was wonderful, right? Truly, he is a boy with a huge heart. Now, let us see the next story, value. A popular speaker started off a seminar by holding up a $20 bill. A crowd of 200 had gathered to hear him speak. He asked, "Who would like this $20 bill?" 200 hands went up. He said, "I am going to give this $20 to one of you, but first let me do this." He crumpled the bill up. He then asked, "Who still wants it?" All 200 hands were still raised. "Well," he replied, "what if I do this?" Then he dropped the bill on the ground and stomped on it with his shoes. He picked it up and showed it to the crowd. The bill was crumpled and dirty. "Now who wants it?" All the hands still went up. My friends, I have just shown you a very important lesson. No matter what I did to the money, you still wanted it because it did not decrease in value. It has still worth rupees $20. Many times in our lives, life crumples us and grinds us into the dirt. We make bad decisions or deal with poor circumstances. We feel worthless, but no matter what has happened or what will happen, you will never lose your value. You are special, don't ever forget it. This applies to each and everyone who is watching the video. Moral of the story: life often beats us up to a point where we feel inadequate. We deal with bad circumstances and make bad choices that we have to deal with later. However, no matter what you go through, your value will remain the same. You have something special to offer that no one can take away from you. Use your talent in a place where it is noticed. A mother and a baby camel were lying around under a tree. Then the baby camel asked, "Why do camels have humps?" Curious kid, right? The mother camel considered this and said, "We are desert animals, so we have the humps to store water so we can survive with very little water." The baby camel thought for a moment and said, "Okay, why are our legs long and our feet rounded?" Mama replied, "They are meant for walking in the desert." The baby paused and then asked, "Why are our eyelashes long? Sometimes they get in my way." The mama responded, "Those long thick eyelashes protect our eyes from the desert sand when it blows in the wind." The baby thought and thought. Then he said, "I see. So the hump is to store water when we are in the desert. Legs are for walking through the desert, and these eyelashes protect my eyes from the desert sand." The baby said, "If we have all these natural abilities given to us to walk through the desert, what's the use for camels in the zoo?" Moral: the skills and abilities that you possess won't be useful if you're not in the right environment. So search for the place where your talent is appreciated. Stop wasting your time complaining. A wise man once faced a group of people who were complaining about the same issues over and over again. One day, instead of listening to the complaints, he told them a joke, and everyone cracked up laughing. Then the man repeated the joke. A few people smiled. Finally, the man repeated the joke a third time, but no one reacted. The man smiled and said, "You won't laugh at the same joke more than once. So what are you getting from continuing to complain about the same problem?" True exchange. Another wonderful one. A young boy and girl were enjoying a pleasant afternoon playing outside in their neighborhood together. The boy showed the girl his collection of beautiful, unique marbles. In turn, the girl showed the boy the handful of candy that she had just gotten for her birthday. The boy proposed that two of them switch. He would give her all his marbles if she handed over all of her candy. The girl agreed, as she found the marbles to be beautiful as well. The boy handed over all his marbles, but kept one, the most exquisite one of them all, in his pocket. The girl kept her promise and gave the boy all of her candy. You have to be a participating factor in your relationship if you want it to be built on trust. That night, the girl was happy with the exchange and peacefully went to sleep. The boy, however, could not sleep as he was wondering if the girl had secretly kept some of her candy just like he did with the marble. We can understand that When we are not 100% in our deeds or relationship with someone, we think they are also not giving their 100%. So it is up to us what we expect and what we give in return. Frogs for dinner. Seems funny, right? A lady was once heating up a pot of water on a gas stove with the intent of cooking pasta for her family for dinner. A frog fell into the pot while it was sitting on the stove. While it wasn't his intention to be stuck in a pot of water, he did not try to escape. He was comfortable enough as he was. The lady soon turned on the flame to begin boiling the water. As the water's temperature began to rise, the frog was able to adjust his body temperature accordingly, so he remained in the pot without trying to do anything to change the situation. However, as the water approached its boiling point, the frog's body temperature could no longer keep up. He finally tried to jump out of the pot, but with water temperature continuing to increase, he did not have it in him to make the leap. It was too late for the frog to save himself. Moral of the story: things don't always go as planned in life, and they certainly don't always go the way we want them to. But no matter how bad a situation is, it's critical to be a proactive and face the problem head on. Unlike the frog who waited until the last minute to try to do anything about the problem he was clearly facing, it's important to project the future outcomes of the obstacles that hinder you and meditate them before they get past the point of no return. You have to avoid wasting time and take appropriate action before problems get out of hand and become too much to handle. A carpenter's retirement. A carpenter who was nearing retirement told his boss that he was ready to end his career and spend his time with his family and wife. He would miss his work, but he felt it was time to spend his time with the people who were important to him. His boss was saddened by this news, as this carpenter had been a good, reliable employee for many years. He asked the carpenter if he could do him a favor and build just one more house. The carpenter reluctantly conceded, even though his passion for building had faded. While he was building his last house, his normal work ethic faded and his efforts were mediocre at best. He could he used inexpensive and inferior materials and cut corners wherever he could. It was a poor way to finish such a dedicated career that he once had. When the carpenter was finished, his boss came to look at the house. He gave the key to the carpenter and said, "This house is my gift to you for all of the hard work you have done for me over the years." The carpenter was astonished. What a generous gift this was to receive from his boss. But if he had known he was building a house for himself, he would have given his usual efforts to create a high quality home. Moral of the story: the same idea applies to how you build your life. Every day that you wake up offers an opportunity for you to put your best foot forward. Yet we often do mediocre work, saving the more important things for another day. Then one day we find ourselves shocked that our lives aren't what we had hoped they would be. The house we build in life has a lot of flaws due to a lack of effort. However, you can't go back and rebuild it in a day or two. As people say, life is a do it yourself project. Your attitude and choices help build the life you will live tomorrow. Build carefully. Stop chasing happiness. An old man lived in the village. Whole village was tired of him. He was always gloomy. He constantly complained and was always in a bad mood. The longer he lived, the viler he became, and more poisonous were his words. People did their best to avoid him because his misfortune was contagious. He created the feeling of unhappiness in others. But one day, when he turned 80, an incredible thing happened. Instantly, everyone started hearing the rumor, "The old man is happy today. He doesn't complain about anything." Smiles and even his face is freshened up. Whole village gathered around the man and asked him, "What happened to you?" Old man replied, "Nothing special. 80 years I have been chasing happiness and it was useless. And then I decided to live without happiness and just enjoy life. That's why I'm happy now." So good, right? So good. Do not assume you're going to fail. During a research experiment, a marine biologist placed a shark into a large holding tank and then released several small bait fish into the tank. As you would expect, shark quickly swam around the tank, attacked and ate the smaller fish. The marine biologist then inserted a strong piece of clear fiberglass into the tank, creating two separate partitions. She then put the shark on one side of the fiberglass and a new set of bait fish on the other. Again, the shark quickly attacked. This time, however, shark slammed into the fiberglass divider and bounced off. Undeterred, shark kept repeating his behavior every few minutes to no avail. Meanwhile, baitfish swam around unharmed in the second partition. Eventually, about an hour in the experiment, the shark gave up. This experiment was repeated several dozen times over the next few weeks. Each time, the shark got less aggressive and made fewer attempts to attack the baitfish, until eventually, the shark got tired of hitting the fiberglass divider and simply stopped attacking altogether. The marine biologist then removed the fiberglass divider, but the shark did not attack. The shark was trained to believe a barrier existed between it and the baitfish, so the baitfish swam wherever they wished, free from harm. Enough stories, I think. We understood very important lessons from these set of inspirational stories. Do watch other stories and other videos to learn better. Thank you.